this strive for perfection is, if we're an entrepreneur, it's just going to kill us. It's going to keep us down. We'll feel bad about ourselves, depressed. Like, why can't I get this done? Well, it is done.
What's happening, friends? Welcome to another Empire Show. My name is Bedros and that is not Craig Ballantyne, because this is an inside look, and that is Aaron Lebauer. 4 years now going on as a coaching client.
Yeah, man.
Thanks for coming in. And Aaron is a physical therapist who focuses on cash practice. So you don't necessarily have to deal with all the bullshit that insurance companies and all those things focus on. And so it doesn't matter if you're a physical therapist, a personal trainer, an online business, an offline business owner. The thing we're going to talk about with Aaron today that he's been doing really well in the last 12 years, and I've had the good fortune to coach him over the last 4 years, is really creating funnels that lead to webinars that convert. And you sold masterminds, courses, seats to live events, right?
A subscription to email software.
Subscription to software. So sit back, relax, folks. If you've got a business and you want to be able to use online funnels and webinars specifically to be able to sell and convert leads and prospects into paying clients and customers, you're in for a fun ride. But before we dive into the actual education part, dude, you were telling me before cameras went live that some stuff I didn't know about you. It's funny because whenever we meet up, whether it's for the half days or we do our monthly coaching calls, we just dive right into business. And I was like, oh shoot, I didn't know that about Aaron. And one of the only times I would have probably gotten to know that from you would have been when I was supposed to come out and speak at your event, because good opportunity to hobnob. And of course, COVID fucked that up. But you were supposed to be a pro, or you dropped everything in life to be a pro cyclist. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, I think back in, from 97 to 2004, pretty much all I did was race and train bikes or find ways to...
Like road bikes, right?
Road bicycles.
Yeah.
So that I could have enough money to do that. And I lived in one of the most expensive cities in America, in San Francisco. But for amateur cycling, it was one of the top regions in the nation for amateur cycling.
Is it because of the hills, or?
For the hills, the numbers of people there, we could race Friday and Saturday. We could do a training race on Tuesday and Thursday, and I could go down to the track in San Jose on Wednesday and Friday night. So I could race 5 or 6 days a week if I wanted to in the summer.
Nice.
And I started racing when I was younger because my younger brother did it. And I couldn't let him be better than me at anything.
Right.
And as I got older, I moved out to California and I couldn't do it. I had to get a job and it sucked and I could not do it. So I went and I was on 43 Embarcadero one day. I was working as a temp and I'd already graduated college and they treated me like I didn't know the alphabet. And I'm sitting there looking down at all the bike messengers and I was like, man, I should be doing that. And I went and signed up and became a bike messenger. So I got paid to ride bikes, but I still couldn't race. And racing for me was all about how could I push my body as hard and as far as possible. And I got to a point where, I raced in Europe for a summer. I raced in Belgium, and our team went pro, but I didn't go pro.
That's the part I want to know more about, because you were also the best rider on the team.
Yep. So I was the best rider, and up to that point I had, in amateur cycling, 5 is where you start, and category 1 is basically a pro without a contract. And I was a category 1. Everyone else on my team was a category 2 or lower, and I had helped all those guys get their upgrades so we could turn pro. But up until that point, I had been the one getting all the sponsorship contracts and putting the team together, and I said, I can't do this anymore. I need to focus on training and push it over to these other guys. They brought in a sponsor. They turned pro, but they didn't even, I went to training camp and everything, but they didn't tell me I wasn't on the team. And it was kind of fucked up where I was the best rider on the team, but they brought in 3 guys who had been pros already. And once you're in the league, everyone's a pro. We weren't going to the tour, but our team, you could have 60% of the guys had to be under age 26. I was 27 or 28, so I was older. But the 3 guys they brought in were over 30. They had already been pros. One got kicked off the team halfway through the year. One tested positive in the spring. And for like testosterone from the year before, and they never brought me up. And I quit after that because I was like,
Did you ever figure out why you weren't made part of the team? Like what happened?
I don't know. I think the sponsor was like, hey, Aaron, when you get your upgrade to Category 1, we'll bring you in the pro team. And I was like, wait a minute, I've been Category 1 for a couple years. Like, what's happening? And I think there was some interpersonal relationship. I think it was just like, I don't know, that they could bring the younger guys in and they brought in these older guys and there was Aaron in the middle and there was no loyalty anymore.
Yeah. Okay.
And, I think that's what happened. They were like, Aaron, where's your new bike? And I was like, well, y'all haven't sent me the wheels. I don't have the wheels and the other parts that I was used to getting for free. And now I have to pay for these parts and they're not in. And May came around. I mean, there was other stuff. Like we go traveling around the East Coast and the guys on the same team were not interested in helping me, like having me share hotels with them or meals. But the guy from another team was like, yeah, dude, come stay with me.
Strange.
And and then they'd get into in the race and they'd work against me, even though we were wearing the same uniform and jersey.
Yeah.
And we'd get out into a break, had a great chance of getting ahead, and there was one of the guys from the pro team sitting on, and they're like, Aaron, why are you doing? I'm like, I'm not on their team. But it was really, that was crazy.
So there was obviously some kind of team internal
there was
conflict
some dynamic.
Or whatever. Yeah. Well, here's a fun fact for you.
Yeah.
I did one road bike. I've had one road bike experience, and I look spectacular in the jersey. I got to tell you that.
Yeah.
And just spectacular. Somewhere around here, there's a picture floating around of me in a road bike jersey, and I wasn't wearing the shirt underneath, so the nipples were hiding right behind the little tank top thingamajig. Yeah.
The bib top. Yeah.
But I realized after doing 20 miles, we did a 20-mile ride. I was like, this is good, but it's not for me. And that's cool. But I have so much respect for anyone who's at the top of their game. Great lesson for everyone watching and listening to this episode. Being competitive is a good thing. Like if you want to know, like, do I have what it takes to be an entrepreneur who's successful? Let me ask you this. Are you competitive? Because I've known this guy in the entrepreneurial world, and I know you're highly, highly competitive. And it's like, oh, surprise, surprise. He was very competitive and at the top of his game at that. And I bet you if you take on a new hobby, if it's underwater basket weaving, I bet you'll be competitive at that too. That's how I am. That's how the top people in every industry are. So if you're not competitive, big, aha moment there, light bulb moment, you might want to be an intrapreneur where you go find someone that you like and you respect and you admire the business that they have and work within their business instead of trying to kind of putz along and kind of half-heartedly breaking even as an entrepreneur. Because as much as our job here on the show is to help people become entrepreneurs, it's also our job to tell people who maybe don't belong in the entrepreneurial space, like, hey, it's nothing but respect if you want to go and, be a second or third or fourth in command for someone, like we all need that.
Yeah.
Right? And so to that point, let's kind of shift gears. Again, over the last 4 years that we've been working together, your business has continued to grow. And even during COVID, where physical therapists were made to shut down, just like gyms were and restaurants were, like you continued to grow. So, and the stuff you're about to share is pretty universal across all types of industries and brands. But let's just talk about this for a moment. Like, for one, why did you get into physical therapy? I mean, I see like sports, athletics, riding a road bike. And so certainly working with the body, but why physical therapy?
Yeah, so I had one of those, when I was working as a bike messenger, I came home and I'd ride for 8 hours a day and I'm taking the shower and I had this aha moment. So after, pretty much I do my best thinking when I'm working out or exercising or like in the shower right after. And I was like, oh, I can be a massage therapist and work 4 hours a day and race my bike. It was like, boom. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do this. And I went to massage therapy school out in Emeryville. Well, we're here in California. I'm like out in California. We're here in California.
Yeah, here in California.
And I did that for a few years. And people were like, Aaron, man, I've been to see chiropractors, physical therapists, orthopedic surgeons. I've seen all massage therapists. You're the first person to touch me where I'm hurt. You're the first person to actually help me. And all I was doing was talking to them and listening to them and touch their body and do some massage and some other techniques, some myofascial release. And I got to a point where people were asking me, well, when am I going to get better? And I didn't really know. And I wasn't doing like a spa massage, more of a sports or like a focused therapeutic massage. And my wife encouraged me to go back to PT school. And I realized that PT school was going to give me a few things. It was going to give me the ability to help people understand when they were going to get better, just that next level of knowledge, because massage is more, you feel good, like it's a wellness thing versus like injury rehab. But it also allowed me to call myself Dr. Lebauer. And when I can say, my name is Dr. Lebauer, people, like there's another level of respect. And so when I look back at it, I paid to have a DR and a period in front of my name, plus the ability to do some more advanced techniques with people like dry needling manipulation and help them understand, here's the length of the process this is going to take. It's not a quick fix and it's not an open-ended.
Yet another lesson, sometimes we pay to become celebrities. We pay to gain authority. We can't pay to gain respect, because all those things really help differentiate us from our competitors. And so, I know you kind of jokingly said, well, I kind of paid to get a DR and a period after my name to call myself Dr. Lebauer. But also that is a point of differentiation. It separates you from others who are doing what you were doing. And so as a physical therapist, obviously you were good at what you did, and you kind of shift to cash practice. I don't think we need to dive deep into why you would move away from dealing with all the bullshit that insurance companies bring. But how do you realize, like, hey, I think I'm meant to help other physical therapists. I'm meant to coach other physical therapists.
Yeah, that came to me one day where basically I was just helping other people do what I was doing. And I had two experiences. One, two classmates asked me, hey, Aaron, how'd you get this business going? And I helped them. And I said to my wife, Andra, and I said, I helped them. They didn't even send me a thank you. She said, don't give when you expect something in return. I was like, oh, yeah, you're right.
Very wise woman.
She is. And then, like the next week, I had a woman who had asked for a phone call, and I got on the phone, and I was telling her some of the same things, and she said, well, how much do I owe you? And I was like, owe me? Like, what do you mean, how much do I owe you? She's like, yeah, this is valuable. I want to pay you for it. And I said, I don't know. She said, well, how much are you charging your patients? And so I told her, she said, I'll pay you that. And I was like, okay, great. And that was the day I realized that what I was doing was something people valued. And then, so I just sat down and said, here's what I charge for consulting. So it wasn't planned, but what I was doing was sharing what I know. I wasn't holding it to myself. I was trying to help other people because I found a path to freedom for myself and my family, and I just wanted to help other people get it. And that turned into a coaching business.
Yeah. And a coaching business is done really well for you and your family, and a coaching business that can be replicated in any industry, not just physical therapy. The practices that you use, as people may or may not know the term direct response marketing, sells software, it sells supplements, it sells coaching in every industry, it sells real estate, it sells medical services. And so let's dive deep into that. Who were some of your early kind of maybe mentors that you learned from in terms of direct response?
The very first marketing book I got was J. Conrad Levinson's Guerrilla Marketing. And I know it's been revised now, but this was before you had an internet website. It was like the internet in San Francisco was just a business card webpage. And I got this book, and that was incredible. I pretty much tried to do everything he said. A lot of stuff didn't work. And then one of the other early mentors I had was you, but I've told you this before, but I stumbled across your website because when I started my physical therapy practice, I was looking up physical therapy marketing, and I think I put in PT marketing, and I ended up on your website.
Can I tell you how many physical therapists I've gained as customers, clients, coaching clients even, because of that very search, PT marketing, personal trainer, physical therapist.
And I landed on your blog post about how to get ranked at the top of Google, and here's the things to do, write the articles, do the YouTube things and all this stuff, and I just did it. And all of a sudden, within a few weeks, it was like a game changer for me. And that's how I ended up at Fitness Business Summit in 2018, because I was showing a friend. I was like, you got to check out this website. This is the blog post that I did. And then you started pixeling me, and I ended up at FBS and a coaching client. But some of the other, Dan Kennedy, I've read a good chunk of his books. And the whole idea was trying to figure out I had an ad in a local health magazine, and it wasn't working. I was like, well, how do I get this thing to work? And I was just trying to figure out that, and that's when the whole direct response piece came. But I had an early coach who taught us some of this, Scott, He was another body worker, and he helped me get my business in North Carolina off the ground, my massage business. But it was just little pieces here with an ebook, and I just like, this works so good. I got to figure out how to do this better.
So let's unpack direct response marketing, because the funnel that you went down, I think, is really still works, by the way, still effective. Yeah. And as you kind of now explain the more elite version of doing that, I think it's cool for people to realize. So first, Aaron does a kind of a Google search, like PT marketing, right? And you're kind of thinking like physical therapist marketing, right. But I did marketing at the time, taught marketing for personal trainers, gym owners. And so you stumble upon a blog. So at first there was a need, right? Like you had this need. So guys and gals, if you're watching and listening to this episode, when you're going to grow a business, identify like, is there a need for this? If so, then you become the solution. So I knew there was a need for personal trainers and obviously physical therapists. And in hindsight, I realized all businesses to rank high for whatever key terms on Google that they want to rank for. And so, there was a need, you did the search and you found the blog. The blog didn't say, give me your name and email address first, and then I'll give you something. It didn't say buy anything. It just said, hey, here's a free strategy. I remember the blog post, I remember writing it. Here's a free strategy on how you can rank at the top of Google for keywords that people search. And so that's the whole idea there, is kind of giving without expectation, right? Coming with a giving hand. And if it works, then you go, well, holy shit, if this guy's free stuff is this valuable, what could the paid stuff be? And of course, he, kind of used an industry term. Like he goes, and then you had pixeled me. And so pixel means he hit my blog, he got the free value, and he deployed the free value and got results from it. So he's like, oh, maybe Bedros does know what he's talking about. Pixeling is obviously, some of you know, some don't. A little cookie is placed on his computer, on his device, and now I could chase him on Facebook and use Facebook marketing to go, hey man, I'm having an event, and marketing someone who's very specifically using my content already. So to him, it's valuable. I'm having an event, come to it. And I remember we were kind of leaning over a cocktail table. This might have been like the meet and greet time or something.
It was a VIP meet and greet.
VIP meet and greet. We're leaning over a cocktail table, and you're like, I'm a PT. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, isn't it the wrong event? And then as you explained, I was like, this makes sense. And so that strategy of figuring someone's got a need, solving that need without asking for anything in return, and having that solution be so good that they come back for more and ultimately become a client. We have, I'd say, a friendship and a client-coach relationship since. And to see you thrive has just been an absolute pleasure. And so, but you've taken what I've done and you've kind of 2.0'd it now with these webinar funnels. And so let's do a deep dive into that. Let's say someone's got a course that they want to sell. Kind of walk us through this process.
So if you have a course that already sells, like it sells, then running a webinar is a great way to sell it.
Because the sales site has to convert before you run a webinar. Why is that?
Because you can spend hours or tens of thousands of dollars building out an amazing product and course, and no one wants to buy it.
Bingo.
Right? Because you build it from your perspective, not from your client's perspective. So if you have a product or course that converts, webinars are amazing. I've sold $300 products, $2,000 products, $18,000 coaching from webinars.
Have you ever added up how much you've sold from like webinar funnels total? Like if you were to guess?
Well, millions. I don't know. Like I got a 2 Comma Club award for one funnel, and it's through the freebie to the webinar, to the coaching programs. So it's a lot. I haven't.
Good problem to have.
Great problem to have. But so let's say you have a product that converts. The way to think about a webinar is it's an online meeting, generally a one-way meeting, not like a Zoom conferencing type of thing. And you want to start with, what's the offer? So I have the offer converts. Okay, great. Now I can turn that into webinar slides. Then I want to unpack the offer.
So do you take your sales site and you turn your sales site into slides that you share on a webinar?
You almost could, but not really. It's very different than that. But I want to look at, from the sales side, I can really take the offer and turn that into 1 or 2 slides, my stack. So I have the primary offer plus the bonuses, the limited time bonus, and then the thing that you can only get now today on the webinar. These are already included in the course, but it's called value stacking, right? So I'm going to take out all the pieces and tell you what you're going to get, what it's going to do for you, and put a value by it. Now I'm going to work backwards. A lot of the things that I do, I work with the goal in mind, and I work backwards and try to figure out how do I get there. So how do I get someone to that offer? Well, I have to give them something first. Not only do I have to give them training, I have to actually give them knowledge, hope, and the vision that they can do this themselves. And I do that by talking about 3 different points. Let's say my product solves 9. There's 9 pieces to what it solves, like 9 modules or 6 modules. I'm not going to teach how to do it. I'm going to teach people what they need to do. I'm going to look at the objection, like the personal objection. Okay, I can't do it. Okay, I'm a physical therapist. I just graduated from school. I can't open up a business because I need an arbitrary 5 years. So I'm going to knock out the objection of the internal objection. The external objection, no one's going to pay more than a copay for physical therapy. And I need to get people to buy into the vehicle or the solution, which is my course, but before I even introduce it. So I need to teach around those 3 things and show. So I teach 3 secrets to launching a cash practice, 3 secrets to starting your business online and making money in 30 days. And each one has a story or testimonial of someone who's been successful doing it. And then that's the core of the webinar. There's a transition between the core and the offer. And before the core, there's the introduction. Why am I the authority to teach this? And I have to, at that point, also pre-frame the sale at the end. And that's how you build out a webinar, or that's how I do it.
So those case studies that you're using, the examples of customers and clients that you're using are there to overcome internal and external objections that somebody watching the webinar is going to have, right? Because there's no point in saying, hey, here's the offer, because if you just present the offer, they're going to go, well, wait a minute, dude, I can't do this. I can't afford this. I haven't been in business for 5 years. Like you said, 5 years, 3 years, 4 years. It's such an arbitrary number that people just put on there. Like, I'm not an expert until what? Like, what happens on you wake up a certain day and you're
I'm laughing because I hear it all the time.
Yeah. And by using actual humans who you can tell a story by or of, now they go, oh, well, I could relate to that. Yeah, I had that same misconception as well, and I realized it's a false belief. And so you're really chipping away at objections before making that offer. The offer always comes with freebies that are just this immaculate, bonuses, right? That kind of really stack the value. What are some really good freebies or value bonus offers that you've made that you're like, holy shit, that closed deals?
It's the tangible digital download. So if I have a course and it's information, I need to have something I've realized I need to have something tangible for people. So the very first product that I came up with was a toolkit. It was 34 digital download of Word and PDF and doc files that I was already using for my business. I put them in. I called it the Cash PT Toolkit, or for the Cash Practice Toolkit. And that was the very first thing I made, but that I knew at the time that this was the bonus, because it's the thing that's going to help people utilize the information faster. The other one is another webinar I did for the course I did to make money online 30 days. We had a one-click upsell of a bunch of Canva templates. These are social media templates. And I had made this for my coaching clients as like a 2020 special gift. Like, let me show you some value for sticking with me. And they were like, whatever. I did this webinar, and I put it in as a one-click upsell, and it converted like 40% for a $97 one-click upsell. I didn't even talk about it in the webinar.
How about that? So you already made something that you gave away as a gift, and then you repurposed it as a one-click upsell. In other words, that wasn't even the main course that you're selling. It was hey, give me additional $97 for this thing that I've already made and gifted. Beautiful. And 40% take rate. Just want to make sure people are like, was that a typo? No, that's 40% take rate. Like, I remember seeing the stats.
It was nuts. And it's because it's the internet, right? I can't walk out with something when I come into your store, or let's say I go into a Fit Body Bootcamp, I might be able to walk out with like some supplements in my hands or something like a band to do it or something like that, I can walk out with those things and I can touch it and I feel it. So on the internet, it's the digital download, the thing I can put on my computer that gives us that same kind of feeling. And that's one of the best bonuses. And then the other bonus is the training that they need to conquer the big objection, but that's not included in the main training. So for my business, it's the do you take my insurance training. So the course teaches you how to start a business. It teaches you how to, the legal parts of the business, the marketing, but I took out this one training and I offered it as a bonus because that's the number one objection all of our clients have, where people go, well, patients pay if we don't take their insurance. So this training, it's a 40-minute training I did with one of my employees. I recorded it and repurposed it as a bonus. And the way I position is, if this training gets you just one more new patient at a value of $1,500, then it's worth it. So now that training is now worth more than the course. So that's this one of the limited time bonuses. So I do that, and I find that just by focusing on what's the biggest problem that they have or that their patients are going to have, and how do I conquer the objection, and giving them something that they feel like is something they would never know how to answer or do themselves, that becomes more valuable than anything else.
So as you're doing the webinar, is there a process to open the webinar? Let's say we'll get to the closing and the offer, but how do you open up a webinar? Is there some kind of icebreakers you use?
Yeah.
So walk us through that.
Yeah, what I do is I use a software called Webinar Jam.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different softwares to do this, but it allows me to put a little a sticky message at the top that says, hey, we'll be starting soon. Comment below if you can hear me and let us know where you're calling in from. So as I'm getting all things set up, people already have this message when it comes in. So you could probably do that with other software, but then they start commenting. And I get on there and go, hey, what's up? It's Aaron. Great to see you. If you're here for the webinar on how to grow your business and do X, Y, and Z, then you're in the right place. Just comment in the chat to the right and let me know you can hear me. And I just do that over and over for 4 or 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Just get them excited because some people get there late. While that's happening, I'm also sending a reminder text message to people who haven't joined the automation system, sending it to people to get more people on there. And then what I'll do is I'll ask them, I'll say, what are you most excited to learn today? Just put it in the chat. And so now these are the soft closes, right? I'm already getting them to put what they want to learn. And while they're doing that, I'll read some of them out. But other people come in and they see what they're excited to learn. And then I'll say, who's here ready to get started to learn X, Y, and Z? And I'll just read out the title of the webinar. And everyone will say, oh, me, me, me. And they start raising their hand. And that, besides the software, that's one of the most important ways to start is with the energy, but also getting them saying they want to be there.
Yeah.
Because that gets them to start sticking.
Yeah. And when they start engaging, they feel more bought in to a webinar versus leaving. So you use Webinar Jam. Now, what do you use for the marketing automation behind it?
Yep. So I use email marketing. We use ActiveCampaign, and the software that I built was PT Email Engine, which is my pre-baked emails that I put into ActiveCampaign for my clients. We use this system and set it up so I've got a welcome email sequence. So when someone goes to our landing page and they put in their name, phone number, email, they get an email from me right away that says, hey, thank you so much. You've registered for the webinar. Make sure you check for the unique webinar link that we've sent to you in a different email, because I got to send that in a different email. But they've already also seen my thank you page. So they register, thank you page, it tells them what to do next, email tells them what's going to happen, and then we send them some email reminders before the webinar.
Got it.
And then there's after the webinar. If you want me to talk about that?
Not yet. Okay. Not yet. So okay, and we use ActiveCampaign too. And so, folks, we're kind of piecing the puzzle together here for you. And so it's a landing page, and the landing page says, hey, I'm doing a webinar on this date at this time covering this topic, right?
Yes.
For this industry, whatever the industry might be, or whatever the solution to a problem that might exist. Let's talk about the landing page for a moment. Are there any specific elements that you're like, these are must-haves on a landing page? Like for me, I know that social proof, that hey, his past webinars have been kick-ass, and so I'm gonna watch every webinar that Bedros does. a timer like ticking down? Are there any other elements, because you're doing webinars way more than I am these days, that you're like, these are must-haves?
For the timers, we don't use those on the, do we use that on, I think we use it on the webinar. It hasn't made a big a difference. We use it for our events, right? But the things I think are most important are a picture, generally a picture of me. I use a picture of me. Those have converted the best, but it's a very clear, I think the copy is most important, but it's a very clear understanding, not a lot of busyness. So there'll be a picture of me, but it's a black background. It's the one cut out, and it's really about what is it people want. It's the title, but it's collect their name and phone number and email. The phone number allows me to send them a text reminder, which I think is really important. So I would say you'll get less people joining, but now I can text you and say, hey, make sure you check out, go find the link right now and put it on your calendar. Hey, we're starting in 5 minutes, and I can do those things. What we do is we have an image, which converts better than the video. I used to do videos. The images right now convert better than video.
So image of you with written copy.
With written copy. It's a headline, a sub-headline, a little bit about what you get, and click here to join us. Then below the fold, so when you have to scroll down, there'll be 3 points, and they almost aren't even the exact same things I'm teaching. It's just 3 things people would be interested in. Jake, my ads guy, has helped me write some of these and built these things, and it's great. And it's just like, I was like, oh, where'd you get that? He's like, it's just copy that works. So it's really all we're trying to do is sell the registration, not the webinar as much. And then at the bottom, it just has a little bit of other info. And I think the main take home is to test the different ones.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to stop you right there, because sometimes when you've done something long enough, like I get it, I've been doing this for 20 some odd years. I just want the audience to make sure they caught this. Your landing page, the page that you are buying Facebook traffic, Instagram traffic, wherever you're buying traffic from, maybe affiliates are sending traffic to people who already have your future customers on an email list. You could literally bribe them to send you traffic from social media, wherever. That landing page is not selling the webinar. It is selling the registration. Just like we say when you send out an email broadcast promoting your course or your coaching service, do not sell your course or your coaching service in that email. Sell the click. Right. Because the click, the link in that email is going to take them to a sales page that is designed to sell the product or service. So that in itself, if people just stopped listening right there and went to some whatever sales page they have and just started to sell the registration and not the product, gold. Okay, so that's valuable stuff. And so now let's talk about this. So as you get them to register, the reminders, what are the sequence of reminders? We know that on the day of the event, they're getting emails and texts several times, because just because 1,000 people registered for a webinar, does that mean you're going to have 1,000 people on there? And in fact, you touched on this. You said you should ask for the phone number, because yes, you'll get less people registering, but you'll be able to follow up with them via text. And that is absolutely true, because you can get more people to register if you ask for a name and email, but less people will end up on the webinar since you don't have that third or that second mechanism, phone number, to text and remind them.
And it's also, if they're willing to give you their phone number, they're more than willing. They're more than willing to take the next steps. It's like it's like it weeds them out a little bit.
It is.
Right? It's not even the text reminder. It's just like, are you willing to give me this? And if they are, they move forward, and we can get a much higher conversion rate, because I know I got better prospects. And the interesting thing I was thinking about is when you click on the registration button, then that's when the registration piece pops up. And for the Evergreen webinar, it's got a countdown timer on there. Like the new one starts in 15 minutes. But it has I'm trying to formulate the right words. But on the registration page, there's the date. On the live webinar, there's a date. But the Evergreen webinar, once you hit the click, then it has the option to, here, you can do it now, or you can do it at the pre-scheduled time.
Gotcha. So let's shift gears now, and that's a perfect segue, because everything we've talked about up to this point really makes sense for a live webinar. You're saying Evergreen webinar. If y'all don't know what the term Evergreen webinar means, it is a webinar that he already knows converts. He's done a live version of this, and it converts. And so you either use a recorded version of it, or you might actually pre-record a specific version of it to have it evergreen. So you could be sleeping, you could be traveling, you could be doing whatever, and as long as there's traffic coming to that registration page,
Yep.
they have this opportunity to opt in or register and watch this Evergreen webinar anytime they want.
Yes.
There's dates and times available, but it's so convenient
Yeah.
because one of those dates and times have got to match up to them. So
It's incredible.
How do you decipher when a webinar is ready to become evergreen?
Yeah, I think.
Because that's like the holy grail. Like you're printing money on autopilot.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I made a sale today while I was working out at your gym, dude.
There you go.
Yeah.
Working out at BK
look at
Strength and
that.
you're making a sale.
I was like, look at that. How do you know? I would say if you want to look at like conversion rate, something at least 10% conversion rate. But I know there are different industries. Some people, 1% conversion rate is huge if they have a huge market. For me, if I know I do a webinar and I get like 10, 12, 14% conversion rate from people who attend the webinar, that's a great one for me to evergreen. The only time in the last 4 years that I haven't taken the most recent live and put it on Evergreen was, let's say, a month ago, where I had some weird sound coming from my iPad and it messed it up, and I haven't done that. But you have to have a product that converts. You do the webinar and you know, okay, hey, I can make it convert better on my webinar than it converts on my sales page. Or if it converts better on the webinar than from a email campaign to sell your product, take that webinar and put it on Evergreen. And what you do is you take the replay and you put it on a landing page somewhere, and you automatically drive traffic to that through other email automations. I've taken my live webinar promotional emails and put them into an automated sequence that just drives people to the Evergreen version. And people go there. And then there's a little bit of complicated stuff that you do with the software to tag people, and then you follow up with them once they've attended. And the conversion rate on Evergreen is lower than live. That's why you don't want to take a somewhat converting live webinar and turn it into Evergreen.
Yeah, like you have to take like one of your highest converting lives, because knowing that if this converts at 18% live, it's going to convert 13, 14 on a Evergreen.
Yeah, like I've got one right now, and it converted 14% live, but it's 4% Evergreen. But when I break down the Evergreen, the people that attended who think they're attending the live version of it, now it's converting at 11%. But if they are attending the replay version, it's converting at like 4%.
Gotcha. So explain the difference for the audience.
Okay. So
because they're both pre-recorded.
Yes, they're both pre-recorded. So one of the options with the software I use is that people can attend just in time. They could watch yesterday's replay, or they can attend tonight's 8 p.m. scheduled webinar. And when they register, and I can manipulate that on the back end, I always have a 8 p.m. tonight register webinar. And I've gone back and forth between the, hey, just in time or yesterday's replay. But when they attend just in time, where it starts in the next 10 minutes, or they go tonight, the conversion rate's higher because they feel like it's live because they see the replay of the chat going in on time. And it's just, the chat comes in, and sometimes people get a little angry. They're like, why aren't you answering my question? But I always say at the beginning of my webinars now, hey, if I don't get your question, I'm sorry. There's just a lot of people on here. I'm going to do the best I can.
Right.
And, but I can tell when I get notifications that someone's put chat messages in on the Evergreen webinar, it's generally that person has already purchased the course.
Really?
So it's really cool. It's great. And I think if there's anything else to share about that is that it sounds complicated, but how can you make it really simple? The most simple way to do it is to take your webinar, make it a YouTube video, and put that YouTube video on a landing page somewhere.
Simple as that.
And with a button below to buy.
Right.
And that's it.
Right.
That's the most simple way to do it.
Yep. Now, obviously, there's all the the different platforms that we use, like Webinar Jams, and it might come from a ClickFunnels landing page to Webinar Jam to marketing automation. Could be from Infusionsoft or what was the one you used?
We use ActiveCampaign.
ActiveCampaign, MaraPost. There's many out there. So don't get hung up on the thing. Get hung up on the metrics.
Yeah.
Because if it's not converting already, don't waste your time in making it evergreen or even doing a webinar with it until you can get the sales page to convert. Because think about this, folks. A sales page, that's written sales page, if it's not converting, meaning you're spending $100 a day to send traffic to it from Facebook ads, YouTube ads, Google ads, if you're sending $100 of traffic to it and it's only making $50, it's not converting, you're not making your money back. You want to make at least your money back, and ideally more. I say at least because sometimes it's okay to break even, knowing that on the back end, we sell high-end stuff like $18,000 masterminds.
Right.
So if you spend $10,000 a day to jam people into your course, and you make $10,000 a day from that course, but you're like, man, I just sold 100 people on my course every day. Well, the marketing automation behind the scenes could be making them offers to get on the phone with you or your closer to sell a mastermind program that's $15,000, $20,000, $30,000, whatever the price point is. So that's the only time you want to break even. That breaking even is okay if you have a back end sale opportunity. But if your copy's not converting, it's easy enough to go onto a website and change words and headlines and add testimonials and guarantees and drop the price and increase the price. But if you go and make this complex webinar and it doesn't convert, well, that was a lot of work you did, and you have to go back to the drawing board. So have your written sales page convert. This is why Aaron started this off by saying, if you have a converting course or a product, then you can sell it on a webinar and really breathe fire into it.
Yeah.
All right. So all that said, gee, you must be like very smart, have a high IQ, and obviously did really great in school and blah, 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 and was just sought after by companies left and right. Is that true?
No.
Okay.
I mean, I'm pretty smart, but not in the way that most people think.
Right.
Right. I barely passed the SAT. Somehow I got to Duke University, but I was 1,200 to 1,600 people there. So yes, I say I went to a great school, but it was only because of my ability to solve problems was I able to get through like high school and college. Like, how do I solve problems? But one day, I was walking across campus with some friends, and this guy, Lex, goes, Aaron, did you take your resume to the resume drop? And I was like, what's a resume drop? I was like, I don't even know. They're like, well, these guys are already like applied to school and done all these things. No, I tried to get a job, a real job, and they didn't invite me back. And they're like, we don't dress that formally here. Well, I had worn a suit to my first interview, and this was in California. And so the next interview, I wore a sweater. And
too casual.
That didn't work, and I couldn't get a job just talking to people.
Fuck, I can't get a break here. A suit, I'm too formal. A sweatshirt, I'm too casual.
Yeah, but it's one of those things where I think what we think of as smart is just being able to memorize a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
But what's really, I think, separates a lot of people like you and I'll say like me is our ability to see around the problem, not just through the problem. You know, like the Far Side commercial where it has that kid, the cartoon, the School of the Gifted, and it says pull to open, he's pushing. Yeah. It's like, well, I can see all 5 doors around the back of the building, but most people just see what's right in front of them. And I think that, like I was a temp. Bedros, I was a temp, and this woman walked me through the alphabet because I had to refile stuff. And she walked me through the alphabet. I was like, I went to high school.
You know the alphabet.
Oh my gosh.
But I mean, you come with your own share of like learning disabilities, right?
Yes.
So, and I say this because, it's when people sit here and they go, and we pair it off, the money that we're making. And by the way, if you all follow me, you've seen text messages that Aaron has sent me. It's just what I do is I smudge out the name of all my coaching clients and I post it up there. And you guys, you know who you are when you see your own text messages you sent me. And I use that as testimonials and social proof to sell more of my coaching. But when you see those kind of numbers, I wonder if people, listening to the Empire podcast are like, man, these people must be brilliant or whatever. Like I've got ADD and OCD. You've got ADD and dyslexia.
Yeah.
Right? I think both of us, fair to say, we're both unemployable for the most part. Like I wouldn't want to employ me. Like I would just be a bull in a china closet, No. And so you defined it so well that we see a problem, but we see ways around it, all the different doors that are potentially unlocked or easier to unlock than the main one that I'm trying to go through.
Right.
Whereas I think conventional smarts, intelligence is you got to go through that door. Mm-hmm. I do. Yeah. Well, but I don't have the key. Well, I guess I'm stuck. Mm-hmm. Like we're just kind of looking like, well, how can I got to get into the building. The option of staying outside doesn't exist. What about you makes you that way? What about us makes us that way? Have you done some like self work to figure that out?
Yeah, I have. And I don't I don't know exactly what it is that other than the DNA that I got from my parents. And I mean, if I look at there's a lot of things about my mom that I'm like, I do the same, and my dad as well. And even my brothers, I'm like, wow, there's DNA, but there's also upbringing. So I was given the ability to have space and not pressured to there was pressure to be a physician. My dad's a physician. And I was like, it's gonna take me 4 hours to do organic chemistry on the first night. I was like, there's no way I'm doing this. But I think, one, it's having the ability to know, okay, I can make mistakes, and my parents aren't gonna fault me for that. Like, it's okay to make mistakes. Then it's also the ability to just, like, man, some days I'll end up on Mars, like thinking about something else.
Yeah.
And just embracing that has allowed me to make that more of my superpower. When I was in 5th grade, me and the other 5 kids in class who had learning disabilities were stuck in a white room with no windows and told, just study harder. It's like, it didn't work.
Yeah.
And I think it's just being okay with thinking differently and being okay with not wondering, did I say something that might have hurt that person's feelings? It's just saying, hey, I said something and it's on my mind, and someone's going to pick it up and be like, holy shit, that helped me with my business. That whatever you said was something they couldn't think of, because other people, everyone thinks a little about things differently. But if we can share what we're doing, and that's what I said before, is the only reason I got into coaching was because I was just sharing what I was doing and sharing solutions to the problems that I had. And other people were like, wow, why couldn't I think of that before? I've had the same experience going, how did someone think of this?
Yeah.
Like, where'd that come from? And I just think it's okay to be different.
And it is very okay to be different. Talk about a great way to close. And so let's see if we can get our friends access to one of your high converting funnels. Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Guys, one of the best things, so till this day, I literally have hard drives, like external hard drives, like 1 terabyte. I didn't even know what a terabyte was until I was like, I need to buy hard drives. I'm talking like 10, 12, 13 years ago. I've got hard drives of screen flow of me going through different funnels of people. So I just turn on Camtasia or ScreenFlow and record my screen as I go through funnels. And I'm talking like teacher parrot, how to talk funnel, medical funnels, probably physical therapy funnels. You name the funnel, I've gone through and I've saved on a hard drive, because if you see the same ads over and over again, that's a pretty good sign that someone's either like obscenely rich and just spending money because they've got too much of it, or maybe it's converting.
Right.
The product's converting, so go through and be willing to buy what they're selling, or at least take a look at the pages as you say no thank you to the offers, and record them so that you can have a swipe file. That's called a swipe file, right? We know that. And so if somebody wanted to kind of funnel hack what you're doing so that they can replicate it, guys, please don't steal his exact stuff. That's called plagiarism. But everyone who sits here and that have a good site or a good piece of copy or whatever, I always kind of like to give access to that, if you don't mind. Where can they go to find that?
Yeah, you can go to aaronlebauer.com, and then from there it'll have a link for events, and on this event it'll have our webinars linked on there. And it's one of the best ones is the webinar on launching a cash practice.
There you go.
That would probably be the one I would send you to.
Perfect. So aaronlebauer.com, they go to the links and they find the webinar where you teach how to launch a cash practice business.
Yep. Specifically, you could go to lebauerconsulting.com/free webinar, but that's a mouthful.
Bingo. And we'll link that in the description as well. And that is awesome. All right. What should I have asked that I haven't, or what did we leave out?
Gosh, that's a great question. I think it's really what stops people from making forward progress in our business. I think that's the biggest question. I think we've probably experienced it the same, but maybe I'll say it differently and people will understand it. And I think for me and the people that I coach are all grad students, or mostly grads. They've spent their whole life going through school, and the focus was to get an A, to get 100% on the test. And 100% in business isn't worth it. It's going to kill your business. 80% is good enough. I said that to someone one day, and I was like, 80% is good enough. Like, just get off the damn fence.
I think your shirt says that.
That's currently what my shirt says. Yeah. It's because everyone's so focused on perfection.
Yeah.
What's kept you from launching your business? Well, I haven't written my lead magnet yet. I haven't written the ebook. I don't know the title. It's like, who cares? Minimum viable product. If I have an employee, I want them to get better than a B. But if I'm the business owner, I want I don't want an A. I just need that 80. Yeah. Just put it out there, because it's, speed of implementation is something you've taught me. But it's this strive for perfection is, if we're an entrepreneur, it's just going to kill us. It's going to keep us down. We'll feel bad about ourselves, depressed. Like, why can't I get this done? Well, it is done. It's just not the way we've been trained to do it.
I mean, you nailed it. And the truth is, when entrepreneurs lean on perfection, like I just haven't figured this out, it's really a way of procrastination, right? So there's like some underlying fear that you're maybe don't want to get rejected if your sales page doesn't work, or you don't want people to leave a bad review because they didn't like you in high school and they whatever. You have to get over all of that.
Or I'm not good enough.
Or I'm not good enough because whoever told you that once and it stuck with you. Never mind the 20,000 times people said that you're an awesome human being, because we always search out for the negative, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's a great piece of advice to share. Yeah. And social media platforms, where can folks find you on social media?
Best place is Instagram at Aaron Lebauer.
There you go. Easy enough. Well, guys, listen, tons of great information for you here. Of course, not only on how to make a funnel, but how to move people through that funnel and deliver a great sales presentation through a webinar that then creates, lifetime tribe members, customers, clients, etc. And if you like this episode, do us a favor and take a screenshot, share it on social media, tag Aaron Lebauer and myself, and of course, leave us a 5-star review. And as always, don't forget to tell your mama.